You better come on, intro.
How about that intro? That intro was amazing, ladies,
Thank
gents,
you. Thank you.
ladies and gents. Jazz, we gonna get into how you did your thing a little later, but welcome everybody to a surprise roundtable to preview week 9 of the Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Your Dallas Dolls have arrived. I am your host, Ashley Baker, and I got my girls in the house. Y'all listen, co-host, producer, Sports After Dark. It's exciting, and I'm excited to be here with my girls. Listen, Jess, Ish, we did it. I've been hearing a little. We've been hearing a little, a little bit of chatter that the streets needed this, y'all, and we're giving it to the streets. Jazz, Ish, how y'all feeling, ladies? We here. We made it.
Yeah.
We just getting ready. We just getting ready.
I'll go first. I'm feeling good. I'm excited. Honestly, like I was nervous because anybody who watches me live knows that I've been dealing with all kind of issues and I haven't been watching as much film as I'd like. And so I was just like, oh no, look at this lineup. What am I gonna do? But I mean, y'all are so awesome. I love talking ball with all y'all. Like I feel good about it.
Jazz, you got to give yourself a little more credit. And while you're giving credit, I need you to go ahead and give a quick intro. Tell everybody what you do besides be dope and fabulous when talking about these Cowboys. Sis, come on now. She's been modest.
What do I do besides that?
Yes, she's
Honestly,
been
not
modest.
much. So if you're watching this on a platform that's not mine, I am currently the interim solo host of Bitches Love Sports, which you can find on YouTube and Twitter. So follow me and subscribe if you're watching. And yeah, I started the podcast from more of a fan perspective, fangirling, just like really liking certain players. And recently, I got into talking more about the X's and O's a little bit.
Listen, I love Jazz. When I think I met you in a Knicks space, Jazz. I think you
Yes,
were
that
Knicks.
sounds right.
Shout out to our guy Knicks. That's
Yeah.
your guy Knicks. Shout out to our guy Knicks.
Yes.
Jazz,
Yes.
I immediately I was like, oh, she's my cup of tea right there. She's my cup of tea. And listen, these two women in the middle here. Everybody's y'all in the middle on everybody's screen, right? Miss Aisha Morrison, Miss Jess Navarez. Did I pronounce that right?
Oh, nailed it. You
Yeah! Put some respect on my name. Put some respect on my name. These ladies join us from DallasCowboys.com. Listen, I can't stress how amazing you guys are bringing the women talk to the Cowboys that we so desperately needed. Ish, Jess, what's going on? Tell the people. I'm coming to you first, Jess. I want you to tell everybody, just introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about you.
Well, hello, ladies. I'm so excited to be here. First of all, I've been looking forward to this all week because it's just so cool that we have this community and this space together that we've just really created. It's so beautiful and it's so cool to finally just work with you guys and actually get to do this. So thank you for the invite. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so freaking excited. And yeah, hi, I'm Jess Navarez and I am the Cowboys beat reporter for Pro Football Network. I'm also a co-host on Girls Talk, Boys Talk with Aisha over here.
The best.
The best. We love Aisha. Oh, she's on the side. She's right here. Look, she's right here. Yeah, you know what? That's really the gist of it. It's just been a little crazy. I'm a full-time Swiftie, so sorry for the Taylor Swift drops in advance, but that's what I do. My favorite thing to do is to point at people with my pink sparkly nails and be like, I can talk football better than you, man.
Hey now.
I love it.
I love it.
Oh, well, I am Aisha Morrison. I am a co-host on DallasCowboys.com with Girls Talk, Boys Talk with Jess Navarez.
The best.
I was able to do the draft show this past year. Really enjoyed that, so I'll be a part of that. And otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Aisha Morrison with 2 eyes. I'm very personable, so you want to talk, you can talk as long as you're being nice, because we get busy over here if you're trying to be funny. But other than that, I'm happy to be here. I been studying. I'm trying to. This is the last. Baby, let me tell you, the last post my handy dandy notebook,
Oh,
close.
brother.
I won't talk about it no more after right now. There's no more talking after this. So I'm
Ooh, I like that. I like that. I like the time for talking is over. I like that. You know
Can
what
I
I'm
say
saying?
one more thing real quick?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, Jess.
I just want to like point out that like Girls Talk Boys Talk is like literally it, like y'all two are pioneers for real. Like no other team has a show that's hosted by all women, and it's like people don't think it's significant, but it's like if you listen to Girls Talk Boys Talk and you listen to other shows, it's different. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I'm just saying like women cover the sport differently. So it's like if you want a different perspective, if you want a different presentation of information, you can go there and get it. Also, I started using the notebook because of Aisha. So Aisha is like literally changing the game.
What?
I love
Put your notebooks in the air. Let's
it.
Okay.
Old school, right? Old school.
You gotta listen. You gotta write it out. You know what I'm saying? And listen, this all talk. Well, we done with the talk. We want action. Week 9 is here, and listen, we're not gonna act like ladies that this is not a highly anticipated matchup. It seems like it's been this way, despite the fact that we have completely. Never mind. I'm not gonna see. I'm not gonna be. You know, I'm gonna be shady. I'm
Island,
just telling y'all.
river in Egypt.
I'm gonna be shady. I'm gonna be shady. But the shade is real though. Like the shade is factual shade.
I have
But
it over
this
there.
is
Needs it for the shade. I have
yeah,
it right over there.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay. Be shady.
Oh,
Shady.
I'm gonna definitely be shady. Week 9 against the Eagles. Pivotal matchup here. We done had some folks fall from grace the last 3 weeks. So the NFC is seemingly wide open again. This is a pretty big game, ladies. Just let's just talk about our initial just one word for your initial feeling of this game before we start getting into the X's and O's, before we start talking about matchups and the storyline surrounding this game. Give me one word that describes your initial feeling for this game. I'm starting with you, Jess.
I'm going to go with execution. That's going to be execution because what
Okay.
you see from the Dallas Cowboys for the last 2 weeks specifically is that they've played, and I'm talking before the bye even, is they've been on the fast track to becoming a well-rounded team that executes. And that's the difference between good teams and teams that are fallen from grace, if you will. It's the execution for me. So I'm going to go with execute for this game because it's a game of execution. Whoever executes the most in this game, they're going to come out with a win.
Love that. I'm coming to you, Jazz. Give me one word that describes your feelings or just one word in the realm of this game for you.
I think it's going to be proof because we've seen some amazing things from Dak Prescott in the offense the last 2 weeks. And there are people who want to doubt it because as soon as the Cowboys beat somebody, they become trash, right? It's like, oh, their defense wasn't all that great, like whatever, whatever. But a lot of people are really expecting the Eagles to win, like just because. Like they've crowned Jalen Hurts, they've crowned the Eagles, and they're just like, yeah, there's no way that the Dallas Cowboys are going to meet this challenge, despite what we saw the last couple of weeks. And I think either way is going to be proved. What I'm expecting them to prove is that the offense actually has developed and that Dak Prescott is actually the savant at reading defenses and manipulating defenses that we think he is. And if it goes the other way, then it'll prove that some concepts that we believed in may not be as effective as we thought they were. But either way, it's going to be proof. And I think it's going to prove a lot of people wrong in terms of talking heads. And before I finish up, I just want to shout out real quick Law Nation Sports, Brother L,
What
B-Boy, and some other people in the chat. I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody, but shout out to y'all for showing up and supporting us. Thank you.
Y'all are so dope for showing up and supporting us. Coles is in the building. Steven is in the building. There's so many folks. We really appreciate y'all for tapping in. Thanks for pointing that out, Jazz. Ish, I'm coming to you. Give me a word.
I'm going to piggyback off of Jazz's concept of, proof and things of that nature. I'm going to say adjustments, man. Hey, somebody's coming out this game having to take a look at what they're doing and make some adjustments. And for me, with Philly, number one, this bye that's coming up for them is important because they're trying to get healthy. But if the Cowboys are able to come out and get a win against them, yeah, this is what the bye is for. You're gonna have to make some adjustments. If the Cowboys struggle against Philly, who we look at as a a pivotal matchup, then maybe there's some adjustments they still have to make. But I also believe there's gonna be some adjustments in this game that could change the game. It also, to me, is not just about the players. We're gonna see these coaches have to get into their bag and make some big time decisions in this game that I think can make or break the game. So who adjusts as well? Who just
Yes.
is my
Gotcha.
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell y'all my word right now, and it's gonna get loud in here.
Here we go.
My word,
Lordy.
energy.
Yes.
Energy. Yeah, here we go. I need energy from the start to the end. I'm talking about walking out the tunnels with the energy that I've been hearing in pressers, with the energy that I've been feeling for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity this week to do what we did not execute or prove against the other worthy contender. I'm not going to say their names. I'm just going to say the team that lost the last 3 straight.
Hey, teams on losing streaks, we don't mention their names.
Yeah. The team that lost the last 3 straight. Yeah. I told you, Just, this is going to get shady. It's going to get shady. I told you.
Before we can
I'm
acknowledge
here for it.
we'll come back.
We need energy. I need energies offensively. I need energy defensively. I need energy from the special teams. I need energy from the coaching. I need energy from fans. I need energy on social. I need energy. So everybody got a part to play in this. We going into a very, very hostile environment in Philadelphia.
Yes.
The energy has to be there. We ain't scared. We ain't never scared. I need to see that same energy. So that is my word. So we got execute, we got proof, we got adjustment, and we got energy. And we are going to start with talking about how they're going to bring energy, adjustments, proof that they belong, and execution when it comes to our O-line versus their D-line, ladies. Let's get into it. We've all watched a little bit of film here on the Eagles. Not me that much, but don't tell nobody. So I'm going to go to the experts here for real. They have really watched the film. Yeah, don't tell nobody that. Anybody can start here. I need your initial takeaway from the film that you've watched, specifically with the Philadelphia Eagles defense. I want to start there.
Y'all want me to go first? I'm assuming so. Yes, that's fine.
Let's go.
Go first. We're like,
Yeah, so off of initial glance, looking at the Philly defense, I've just seen them the last couple weeks. And because I really wanted to focus on them the last couple weeks and against Miami, just trying to see some of the things that they did because they played well against Miami. And so one of the things that they're really good at is they're fantastic against the run. They're number 1 in yards allowed. They're 29th in passing TDs allowed, and we'll get there later. But as far as their defensive line, it really starts with their interior. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, those young gentlemen are having a fantastic year to start, and they're able to get pressure there. So it makes it easier for the guys like Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. So yeah, they can stop the run efficiently, but I will say this last couple of weeks, I've been looking at how teams have been successful against them. And I mean, their teams have averaged over 5 yards a carry against them the last couple of weeks. I'm assuming that has something to do with Jordan Davis dealing with a hamstring. Saw that he was full in practice this week. That's going to be big. And also Jalen Carter is dealing with a back. He practiced this week. So that's why I said this team needs a bye, because this run defense has been stout, but the last couple of weeks, I think you are seeing that they need this bye. They do get a lot of pressure. Some of the things that they do really are, they have a 5-man front that they use. So basically they're going to be rushing their linebackers as well. And either sometimes they drop, sometimes they don't. They threw a few wrinkles in against Miami though, that really I was surprised by, because they don't run a lot of cover too, but they did, because I think that they were nervous about my speed. So they had a lot of guys flanking and helping out. So for me, it's how Dallas's line can deal with their interior pressure. So Tyler Biotish, Tyler Smith, and Zach Martin are going to have to come play to deal with their interior, because that's what really opens up things for them. Cowboys offensive line has struggled against like stunts and some of that stuff. They're not a heavy stunting team, but when they do bring five, it's effective. And what it really is that it confuses quarterbacks. Good thing we have a quarterback that can read defenses at a high level. Sirianni mentioned the other day. He mentioned the other day that you have to confuse a Dak Prescott. He's in year
Good
8.
luck.
A lot more difficult to do now. It is. And so for me, with their linebackers, N'Kobe Dean, I forgot the other gentleman's name, but they're playing decent ball. But Dak Prescott ain't scared of them in coverage, respectfully. And as rushers, I mean, they are semi-effective. They're more effective when they're rushing over the center, which we see Micah do as well. So they'll do some of that. So the communication is the big thing I'm worried about, y'all, about with this offensive line, because if they have to go to a silent count, if they're dealing with all the noise up in Philly, we already know, like, Tyron hasn't even practiced this week, really. So besides the walkthroughs that they did today. So communication and the interior of our offensive line is, to me, the big part of things. Terrence Steele's going to have to put on his big man draws, too.
Big man draws from Terrence Steele. Those are let me be quiet. Those guys are big balls.
And again, it's not that he's already no, it's just the fact that he is coming back from the ACL. He's still trying to find strength in that leg, and I do think that Hassan Reddick he got a tool bag. He got a little tool bag. So I'm really looking at, but mostly though, their interior pressure is what gives me the most stress. So yeah, okay, sorry y'all. I hope
No, you're fine. That's
You're not
perfect.
talking that long. You're good.
Quit apologizing.
Yeah, girl, stop apologizing. Do your thing. This our thing. We do what we want. This is what we do. Jess, let me ask you a question, because your word was execute, and Ish, you mentioned that interior defense, led by none other than Mr. Jalen Carter himself. What's your viewpoint, Jazz, on containing him? You know what I mean, and doing that executing that at a high level all 4 quarters.
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to come down to, well, first of all, who is active on the offensive line? Because the big question is Tyron going to be available?
For sure.
Don't know. Is Chuma going to be available? We also don't know. Both of them were listed as questionable on today's projected status. So then that leads you, well, who's going to be at left tackle? None other than rookie Awesome Richards. And so that kind of changes, again, the cadence, that changes the continuity that you have within this offensive line once again. But the thing is that I've always said that here's the thing with this offensive line, and I had to understand this really last year for myself and ask about it, because when you're seeing all of these different combinations of this offensive line, you wonder, is there such thing of continuity within this versatility on the line? And there is, because here's the thing. We forget that there's such thing as veteran rest days for these Wednesday practices as well. And what happens on those rest days? Well, your veterans are sitting out. So a guy like Tyron's already sitting out, and other guys, maybe Chuma as well, but you already have that Awesome Richards that's going in and getting those reps. So it's not like he's not fresh in this game and building that continuity. However, Aisha pointed out to me the other day something that I think is worth noting, and that's the silent count that's going to go into play for this Cowboys offensive line and how important that's going to be. Now, when you're outside on the tackles, it can get a little iffy. So
exactly, especially in a hostile place like Philly.
I was gonna say,
they're gonna be loud.
At your tip-top silent count game, guys. I mean, communication is going to have to be key. But when you have a guy like Tyler Biadasz at center, he's somebody that I really just respect so much. I think he's so underappreciated for how much he communicates with Dak Prescott. You're going to need to be at the best you can be as this offensive line, not just to contain anybody, but so that way your quarterback continues to be protected. You don't want them touching your quarterback. You don't want Dak to be really touched in this game. You need to save Dak. You're off of your bye week now. You have a long season to go, and that just doesn't go for this game. It goes for the rest of the season. Do not allow what happened last week to happen again with, hey, you start your first 3 drives and you're getting sacks. Absolutely not. Do not do that. I was, because again, here's the thing. If that's not Dak Prescott, and luckily it is, what quarterback can shake that off and still get you all the way down the field for a scoring drive? That's very hard to do. So don't put him in the position that he has to do that every single time. So for me, it's not necessarily about containing another player. It's playing your own game, worrying about yourself, and communicating at the highest level you can, especially in that Philly environment at the link.
It's going to be nasty there. And I should have looked up. I don't think it's going to be like super cold or anything. I don't know. I thought I heard somebody.
No, it's supposed to be in like the 50s or 60s,
I got
which could feel chilly depending on the wind.
Yeah,
But-
it is going to be in the 60s, but that's the high of the day. So when you're talking in terms of the
Right.
sun starting to set and all that's going
Exactly.
to get the night gets on. So they're going to just have to keep their bodies warm. Just it's not. Here's the thing. It doesn't sound that cold, but when you're playing football, it's a different kind of temperature. You have to keep your body warm. And I think people forget about that when they're like,
Yeah.
oh, 60s, 50s, it's not that bad. No. When you're trying to move and do the things these guys do, it makes a big difference, even if it's a little cold.
Yeah. For sure. I would hate to. First of all, have y'all ever been to a game like in the cold as a fan? You just stand the whole time, like you don't even want to sit down. Like it can get really in Philadelphia. We already know once you start going up. I'm in DC, so once you start going up north like that, it can get really, really nasty. Luckily, it's not like we haven't seen. Oh, did y'all see that? Ooh, y'all saw me catch that mic like that. Y'all didn't even see it. I was quick with it.
That was very CD Lamb-esque.
Call me CDTD with the hands. Listen. You said that.
Post.
You said that.
You don't even think he's a number one receiver.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
What you
I said, hold up, because she about to try to put me on the grill. Let me tell you something. I said that CD has to show it at a more consistent level. Now, maybe that ties in. That might tie into our quarterback and our coach making sure that he is getting passes. I need to see it at a more consistent level. However that ties in, whatever that look like, that's what I need to see. That's what I need to see. Let me say something. You ain't gonna back me into a corner. You ain't gonna back me.
I'm just saying, sis, I was
This is family business. This in-house business. Don't get it twisted. I'm not letting nobody come for my guy CD outside of. You feel what I'm saying? So, but that's a good thing. Like, hold me accountable. That's cool. I'm with that. Jazz, let me ask you a question.
Let me make sure I get my sister.
What's up?
Of course. Jazz, let me ask you a question. What is your favorite matchup that you're looking for when it comes to our offensive line and their defensive line? What matchup are you looking for? And I know it's tough, like Jess mentioned, who's actually going to be available. But for the sake of this show, let's just say we have our all-star O-line. You know, we got Terrence Steele, we got Biotis, we got Zach Martin, Tyron, Tyler. We got our boys. What matchup are you looking forward to most?
I can't really think of a particular matchup. Like there are a lot of things that come to mind just when I think of our O-line and our offense. Like especially Terrence Steele. I think he's due for like just a much better game. I think people need to see that from him. I think the team needs that from him. He had some awful misses in this last game against the Rams that I think are sticking out in people's minds and just giving a really bad impression of who he is as a player. And so I really like to see him step it up and eliminate some of those mistakes, whether they were misreads, misassignments, or other issues. I don't know what it was, but I'd like to see him perform better. Otherwise, I think the main thing I think of when I think about our O-line versus their D-line, I think about something that Aisha actually said on Girls Talk, Boys Talk about them going into the wide nine at points. And I think about the opportunities that ended up creating for Dak Prescott against the Chargers, right? Because basically the way the Cowboys responded to that, it ended up opening up these soft B gaps that we saw Dak use to like start using his feet. That was like that first game where people were like, oh my God, Dak's running again. But it was because the way the defensive line was set up, it created those lanes for him to just be like, okay, I'm gonna take it. And even I was like, well, he's not going to do the same thing against the Rams. And it wasn't exactly the same, but we did see him use his feet not only to pick up the ball and run, but also to manipulate the defense, to, move out of the pocket. And then it's like, oh, I'm actually not going to go for the first time. I'm actually going to pass it from way over here. So it was just really interesting. So I think the thing that I'm curious about is like with the Eagles, there's no way you see all that on film and you don't make some sort of adjustment. And so like going back to my word of proof, I'm really hoping to see what Dak Prescott does in response to whatever they do to counter it, because they're going to do something. But I do think that we've seen too many examples recently of how he can use his eyes and his feet to manipulate defenses for him to just throw that away. So he's still going to bring that to the table. And it'll just be interesting to see who wins out, like Dak's prowess at manipulating defenses, or do they actually have counters that can shut that down?
What were you about to say, Ish? Because you had your finger up.
Oh, I was just people were commenting about the reverb, and I wanted people to hear her point. Yeah, I wanted people to hear her point because she said some good stuff. So I wanted to make sure.
I think it kind of went away. I was able to kind of hear her.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure everyone can hear well so they can enjoy the show.
Go ahead, say something for me, Jazz.
Yeah, that was my fault. I just realized the setting that was bad. Is that better?
That's
Sorry.
perfect.
Yes,
that sounds beautiful. That sounds beautiful. Okay, so
no, thank you, girl. Thank you, because you set me up. You hit me with the hoop. But yeah, that is, and that's what I mean by adjustments, Jazz. Like that's what I mean. Is like in the matchups, there's things that they do well. Their defensive line their defensive line does well that our offense struggles with. And so for me, when you ask what is the matchup I'm looking for our offensive line against their linebackers, because that would tell me that we're getting to the second level in some way. And I don't think that this game. Listen, Cowboys offensive line still trying to figure their lives out. And I don't know if this is the one where you like, let's commit to the run. We're gonna talk about passing on these dudes. But I feel like if our offensive line is gonna have success against them, the Commanders have success doing screens and quick stuff. Like they had success doing that. So for me, I'm wondering if our guys can get to the second level in different ways. Maybe Turk gets some carries, maybe doing some things like that and throwing the ball to the outside and attacking the edges, because they're, to your point, Jazz, their DNs are very aggressive and they get upfield fast. I have seen them be disciplined in the Miami game, but they come out antsy and they're aggressive and they're getting upfield. I would use their aggressiveness against them and start using screens and quick stuff like you talked about, Dak using his legs, whatever the case may be, tight end screens, whatever. And I think that'll definitely help open up the rest of the offense as itself. But that's how I would attack them. So I'm looking for if our offensive line can get to the second level in spots. It don't got to do it a whole bunch, but in spots, because that's demoralizing, especially since their linebackers are a bit undersized.
I'll just to the point of energy for me, I just don't want us to be getting pumped. Like when we step, and it's not gonna. It ain't gonna happen. I know that. I just want to make look. If there's anybody that can hear me, Lord Jesus, anybody that can hear me talking, when we line up and we get low, I want us. You know what I'm saying? Let's be in the trenches with it. You know what I'm saying? Let's have that energy. I was wondering, just kind of based off of from Ish and Jess in particular. Has anybody in the locker room been kind of talking about this offensive line versus the defensive line directly to you guys? Have they had any like comments or anything to say about it, or anything like that, anything from the pressers?
Oh, well, I mean, for me it's I will say that one thing I will say is that the Philly defensive line, they do have depth, and we've heard Mike McCarthy talk about. We've heard them talk about, how they can bring guys. Because, I mean, Fletcher Cox is like their, third DT? That's crazy. Like, that's crazy. So there has to be some ways for you to, I mean, you have to win the line of scrimmage. But you also have to me, going just running at these guys, especially their DTs, just running up the middle at them, that's not, to me, a recipe for success. To have teams had some success, doing it, but using, bouncing to the outside and doing things on the outside and making these big guys chase is, to me, what is going to help set up things for you in the passing game and allow you to tire these gentlemen out as the game wears on. That's one thing that worried me from the Cowboys offensive line in the last couple of weeks. They haven't won the line of scrimmage.
Jess, did you say that?
What's up?
Oh, go ahead, Ish. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, they haven't. They have not consistently won the line of scrimmage, and Dak Prescott being mobile. And also, too, a lot of what he's doing at the line of scrimmage is definitely helping assist this offensive line that's trying to figure things out and stuff. His mobility is really why this offense is continuing to tick. And this offensive line is doing just enough, as far as in run and, for running the ball. They're doing just enough for the run game to be efficient and for the play action to be efficient. However, I just, to your point, when you say like you want their energy, you don't want them getting punked, they have to establish the line of scrimmage. Like they absolutely have to. And again, it ain't got to be nothing. It doesn't have to be crazy. They got to. So you gonna lose some. You gonna lose some. They gonna win some. Vice versa. But whoever can win it more consistently, especially in the passing games, that to me is what's gonna be the difference in this game. And especially if the Cowboys want to go downfield, which I do think that they're gonna attempt to do this game.
Jess, did any of the players talk about that silent count that you were talking about? Did anybody talk about that this week?
No, because I thought about it like after lockdown.
That's fine.
They didn't, but I mean, it is something that they did practice, and we heard this from Christy on Girls Talk Boys Talk. So they had the speakers a little bit louder than they normally would. Like it was blaring at the start. I was like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's what they're doing. They're practicing for the silent count." So nobody really talked about it, but it was being practiced.
Got it.
Throughout the week. Yeah.
Got it. She got her finger up. What's the finger up? What is this? Not church? What are you getting up to go to the bathroom? What is this?
No. Oh, dang it! I had water in my mouth, but I will say it does seem like some of the gentlemen on this offensive line are excited about the matchup. They are excited about the opportunity to go against some of the best. I mean, Jordan Davis got 4 sacks from the DT position already. It's crazy. Yeah, that's just not normal, y'all. So these. Some stars in the making, specifically at the DT position. I know some of our guys in the interior are ready for the competition. I'm excited to see it. It's actually, when you put this on the rundown, I'm like, this is going to be exciting to see. Let me switch it, because now we got to talk about my favorite part of the team, the defense. Please get a grip. We got to come back to that secondary, though. Please don't let me forget.
You said what?
We got to come back to their secondary, though.
Oh, yeah, of course. But I do want to talk about our defense really quick against Mr. DeAndre Swift in that run. Okay, so obviously, and I'm coming to you, Jazz. I guess the talk or the narrative is we struggle against the run. Whatever. They have a one game. They have a solid one game. Then you incorporate whatever Jalen Hurts may give you, which might not be enough, because I'm hearing that he's a little gimpy. He a little hurt. I don't know.
Actually,
I don't know. What?
Your stupid hand. He talking about some stupid hand. I'm sorry.
Y'all don't talk with our hands?
Yes.
I do, normally.
Yes, your hand was doing something like this, and it was funny to me.
Oh, I can't control that. Here's the thing. I don't even know what that means. It just happens.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your
question. Just get your girl. What is this?
I got you.
I can't help it. I talk with my hands.
So do I. It's okay.
Whoa.
What is this Renaissance?
So listen. Okay. God damn on it, Ish. Okay, listen. What I was saying was, obviously, we struggle against. That's not something new. Damn it, we struggle a little bit against the run. Jazz, I'm coming to you because again, they have a solid run game. I want to talk about our defensive line. Micah and D-Hall and Odiki Zua and Torrance and
You sure you don't need a moment?
Let me tell you something. I have been waiting for so long to be able to brag on my defense. So excuse me, the last couple seasons. Woo, shout out to DQ. I want you to talk to me about our defensive line against the run game. Particularly DeAndre Swift. Real quick before Ish, I know that this is probably not a part of what you're gonna say. Give me DeAndre Swift's numbers really quick before Jazz get into this. What is his? Look at her going through her handy dandy notebook. What is this? This is First of all, excuse me, I feel like with a notebook, you're supposed to tear out the pages that you are done with, and in that way, you just come into the front. No, we don't.
No,
No.
No, you gotta go.
I don't tear
Front.
up pages. No,
Y'all don't
You'd
tear
be
out pages.
surprised how you can refer back to
I
the film
bookmark
notes.
important pages, but
Let's
no, we
see.
don't tear stuff
This
up.
goes back. It's the first day I have. It is. Oh, it's my sticker.
Oh,
I have mini camp right here on this first day.
oh my!
Page.
I've been thinking that my memory is better than what it is. That's what it is. That's my problem right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me those stats real quick.
All right, so he's had 117 attempts with 3 TDs. He has 571 yards total, and he averages about 4.9 yards a carry.
Solid.
So
Solid.
a lot of folks in Philly will tell you though that they not using him enough and they sick of that. But we're not going.
But and that's what I was about to say. And this was that's why I should read those,
That
because
might be the adjustment.
my point to that is everybody seems to get up for the Dallas Cowboys. While some that they're not giving it enough to him, they're gonna give it to his ass. I cursed. Somebody asked if we was cursing in the show. I cursed. They're gonna give it to his ass on Sunday. So talk to me, Jess. Talk to me about what you expect to see from DeAndre Swift and what you expect our defense to do to combat that.
When it comes to expectations, it's tough because I do think this is one of the biggest challenges they'll have faced in a while, if not. I mean, I usually could probably say whether it's the biggest challenge of the season, which I don't think it is. But I can understand why people are hesitant to put a lot of faith in our defense's ability to stop the run, especially in this situation, because everything I've heard makes it sound like they're a bigger challenge than the things that we've seen in the past several weeks, at least. But I guess for me, and I'm partially going here because, like I said, I haven't watched as much film as I wanted to. But one thing I will say is hearing the guys talk about focusing on playing their game and sticking to their assignment, sticking to their role, does give me a lot of hope. It inspires confidence, because I feel like the times that we have had a lot of trouble is when they weren't doing that. Is when we saw guys playing hero ball, leaving wide ass lanes open, and just doing things that, like, when you're watching it, it's not smart. And then even after the fact, listening to them talk about what happened during those games, they knew it wasn't smart, but it happened anyway for whatever reason. So hearing them go into this game talking about how they're focused on sticking to their assignments does give me a lot of faith in the idea that they'll be able to handle it. Not saying that they'll like completely shut it down, right? I'm not going to pretend like DeAndre Swift isn't good. I'm not going to pretend like the Philadelphia Eagles don't have a solid run game.
For sure.
But I do think that they'll be more effective than a lot of people expect them to be. And then as far as why can I not talk? Jalen, not Jalen. As far as Jalen Hurts goes, we've seen him the past couple of weeks not run in a lot of the ways that he ran last season. He's not doing a lot in terms of getting as much yardage as possible. We've seen him get like literally just as much as he needs, and then he slides. I'm not sure if everybody is up to speed on this, but what I've been reading about what he's dealing with is that he's been dealing with a knee bruise for a few weeks. And that's, if it's something that lasts a few weeks, it's a pretty major injury. And then on top of that, he took a helmet to the knee, and we actually don't know what the aftermath was of that, because the story about the knee bruise came before he got hit in the knee with a helmet. And so we don't know what that could have caused. And that's not to say anything about the Eagles. I was telling someone else this, like, when it comes to reporting injuries, sometimes stuff is just based on the anecdotal evidence from the players. So they go to Jalen Hurts and they're just like, yeah, describe your pain on a scale of 1 to 10. And he's like, oh, it's a 2. Okay, can you play on it? Yeah, I'm fine. A little bit discomfort, but I'm okay. But he actually has like a torn ligament or something. Like, we might never know, But, fact of the matter is, we've seen him limping. We've seen him in a knee brace. We've seen him take impact to that knee. And we've seen him, the way he runs change after that. So yeah, we can pretty much surmise that he's not the same player, in terms of how he runs. So that won't be as much of a threat.
I'll say this. I think, just to piggyback off that, and look, Ish, she foaming at, look, Ish can't wait to jump in. Look at her. She just can't. Look at her, Jess. She just ready.
No, leave me alone.
I love her.
I love
I'm in the
football.
middle of you guys. Like, that's my question. I'm like right here in
I
the
love Ish is so funny. I was gonna say, I think my concern is just to kind of, because I kind of integrated like Swift and Jalen in the same thing. I think that My concern is actually not as much for DeAndre Swift as it is for Jalen Hurts. I mean, like you said, Jazz, I mean, he very well could not be as banged up as we think he is. And it's those short yardage situations that I need to see my defense be very aware of, where we're probably spying Jalen Hurts in those situations. Your third and twos, oh God, if they decide not to do the tushy pushy or whatever, your fourth and ones or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I said it, Ish, tushy pushy, the tushy pushy.
I
But
think
yeah, that's what would concern me though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that stuff. The short down situations where, oh God, or even like maybe a long down situation, God forbid, we're on like a third and six and nobody's spying, nobody's paying attention, and he picks up 8 yards to keep the chains moving. That's the kind of stuff that I want to make sure that my defense is containing. So yeah, that's go ahead, Jess.
I think injury or not, short yardage situations are something that we should be very wary of.
For sure.
Because like 1 or 2 yards, it's nothing for him to get that, even if he is dealing with pain and discomfort. You know, it's those longer situations where he doesn't seem to be as comfortable, and he seems really anxious to like hurry up and get it over with and slide. So I think one of the best things that they can do as far as like stopping him from, running all over the place is just to, force him to have to make decisions. Don't give him any easy runs, which is, of course, easier said than done. All I'm really saying is that the more that he has to plant and try to change direction and shift, the harder it's going to be for him to get some of those longer runs. But the short ones, yeah, either way, they should be
I
careful.
agree. I agree. I'm gonna change up the question a little bit for Ish and Jess here. It's the same thing, but who are you more concerned with as far as their run game is concerned? Is it Jalen or is it Swift?
I think what you're going to see is a true battle test of the run defense without Leighton Vander Esch now. Because I think up until this point, you haven't had a true test to see how this run defense can be tested without your core commander, your communicator, your green dot on the field. Yes,
That's
J.
fair.
been holding down the fort, but you really haven't seen a true battle test. And whether it's DeAndre Swift or Jalen Hurts, they're both going to battle test your linebacker group and a young linebacker group that they're going to see as the weaker man and that they're going to try to bully and pick on. And so Marquise Bell, Damone Clark, they have to have their best game. And that goes with it sounds so silly, but the fundamentals of football, completing your tackles, not allowing the yards after tackle, that's going to be so huge because this is a game of yardage. And we were just talking about short yardage. It goes with that as well. And so that linebacker group inside the box, that's going to be the most battle tested for me. It's not necessarily anything up front. Yes, the trenches, it's going to be a battle in the trenches regardless. But if they're able to get past that, which you kind of expect them to because they are so elite with the run, whether it be Jalen Hurts or DeAndre Swift, either one, your linebacker group is really the ones that need to step up in this case. And so that's what I'm looking at in this entire thing is your linebacker group, your youth, it's next man up mentality. How are they going to continue to prove themselves? Marquise Bell obviously has this versatility that everybody's been talking about. Here is your proof. The proof is in the pudding. This is where it's at. Damone Clark, time to step up even more. They take the next step in this game. And I think those second year jumps that you talk about, they're battle tested in a game like this.
Ish, Swift or Hurts, and how do your word adjustment? How with the us missing LVE, as Jess just mentioned, the youth of the linebackers. How again a solid run game here, and maybe a little bit more than solid when you add in the factor of Jalen Hurts being able to, what I'm saying, pick up yardage where it's necessary, like Jazz mentioned, even if hurt. How do we adjust? What do we do here, and who are you more concerned with?
Well, I wanted to go back to the original question
Good.
because we're talking about the run game in general. There was
Yes.
this week that stuck out to me from Mike McCarthy in regard to the run game and how it's improved. Cowboys ranked 17th in the league against the run. I personally feel like those numbers are a bit skewed because they've had 3-4 blowouts where the game was had. So they like
Facts.
run it all you want, boss. So I would say that they're probably more in like a 12. I don't know. 10 to 12 range, which is not bad against the run. They've actually been so much better against the run, minus, the hiccups. Because even in the 49ers game, they were pretty good against the run, besides when the game was out of hand. It was really the Cardinals game, and Jazz already mentioned that it was a lot going on. So I wanted to say that to that point, when you're talking about their run game and the things they like to do, this Philly offensive line is good, man. It
Yeah.
just is. And it's almost annoying how good they are. They do a lot of savvy things. Because that's the thing about their line, their offensive line, is that their declarations are good. They got veterans on that line that read defenses really well. So to your point, Jess, rather, that was a good point about the linebackers. You made me hype when you talking about Marquise Bell and those guys, because I think what Dan Quinn shows with those guys, or if he decides to disguise some things, I think that will help out some of the offensive or the defensive line. But then also going back to the who's the more of the threat. I mean, Jalen, he doesn't rank that high in like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 situations. We heard the players this week say a lot. We just want to keep them out of short yardage situations. That's our focus, is to keep them out of short yardage situations. Because no knock to really any defense in the league right now, but the Washington Commanders have a specific set of skills. I mean, their DTs were something serious, and they were able to stop them on the goal line. But we haven't seen anybody be able to stop this tush push. Number one, because you can't practice it in practice. Because why do I want my guys getting hurt? But number two is because they have mastered it, and it's something that we don't know if it's going to stick around long, but it's really difficult to stop. And so you're also putting if you keep them in 3rd and long situations, you also take away that 4th down. And honestly, Philly treats the 4th down like it's just another down. They're like, well, you guys, their players don't come off the field. There's never a conversation.
They'll never do. You are so right.
It's another down. So with that in mind, getting them in 3rd and long situations, to me, mediates both Swift, and also it mediates Jalen Hurts from those situations. So, but I love what Mike McCarthy said this week. He said we made a conscious effort to improve the run defense, and he said it definitely was a focus. What brings me to my next point. Another reason why you are better against the run. I mean, also Diggy Zoo is taking a step forward. Hankins is here, all that stuff. But man, I think your safeties in this game are going to be huge. What they do in the pass game, a la Jaron Kearse against Goddard, or whoever has to deal with Goddard. But then also, too, a Wanye Thomas, a Donovan Wilson. You talk about energy, Ashley. You talk about setting the tone early in this game, especially in the box, being physical, letting them know, hey, man, you trying to do this stuff? It's gonna be a long day.
Correct.
I really like to run a lot of screens. You know who can keep guards and stuff hands off of them? Our safeties. If they're reactive and they're sudden and they're decisive, I think a Donovan and a Wanye Thomas, if they're involved in the run game, Dan Quinn used to use robbers a lot when he was in Seattle. And that's something that he does sometimes here. And Robert's just kind of an extra guy. He's a trash guy. He's just cleaning up things that, that happen. So I'm looking to see if he's going to maybe bring back that concept and do some of that with Donovan Wilson and Wanye Thomas to be extra and run support. I think our safety's physicality is going to be huge when you talk about defending the run. And they've been very helpful to start the year. And also you got corners that's not afraid to tackle too. We got to have all hats to the ball this week. So, yeah, those are the things I'm looking for. I think you can mediate all of that, keep them in 3rd and long situations with stopping the run early, and also making that quarterback have to think a little bit more at the line of scrimmage, depending on what you do with your linebackers.
Energy, like you said, energy, man. Like I think it's so important to set the tone early, like you said, and I know. Again, we got to look out for the fact, like you said, Jess, the youth, they're going to try to pick on, they're going to try to bully. And I am so confident in those guys, and Wanye, and you know what I mean, and Marquise Bell, who I think, shout out to Law. I was on Law's show last night, and I mean, PFF has his ranking at like a 90. Like, Marquise, he been balling. He has been incredible. So I want to kind of talk about some of our favorite matchups with these our wide receivers. Let's talk about let's talk about what we can do. Okay, what we gonna do offensively, what we gonna do against their DBs. our wide receivers, for those that don't know, CD Lamb. Our number one wide receiver,
Yeah.
CD Lamb. CD
Yeah.
Lamb. You got MG13 and Michael Gallup. You got Brandon Cooks. I think that we're probably going to see a nice little game from Tolbert here.
Oh,
What I think?
I wasn't expecting you to say Toby. I thought you was gonna say Ferg.
Fergie,
I mean, Fergie's tight end. I mean, that's cool. We can throw him in that.
I wasn't expecting for you to say Tolbert.
I just expect him to have a little more looks or just be featured a bit more. I want to switch it up. I want him to be
I mean,
featured.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I think going back to what we said earlier about CeeDee Lamb and whether or not he's wide receiver one, a lot of people's perception of that depends on, does he get the targets? Are plays drawn up to feature him? And I think that's part of it with Tolbert. Like, I think based on everything that we know about Jalen Tolbert, like, does he maybe deserve more looks? Yeah, absolutely. I think if you polled a good portion of the Cowboys fan base, they would agree. But it just doesn't seem to be trending that way for some reason.
I know. And look,
I don't blame you for one.
I want to jump in on this.
Yeah,
I want
to
jump in on this because I don't necessarily think it's a Jalen Tolbert specific issue or a Jake Ferguson specific issue or whatever. I think what you're seeing is that Mike McCarthy hasn't had to open up his playbook to the full extent yet. So yes, there's packages there because trust me, saw them at camp, saw them at mini camp, saw them at OTAs. They're there. They exist. We've seen them with our own eyes. The thing is, why do McCarthy hasn't had to show his hand yet? I mean, really, the only game you can make the argument that he should have was against San Francisco. Sure.
For sure. Yeah, right.
Do start to see those kind of special packages because you can even take that to the running back room when you have a Hunter Lipke who has been pretty much radio silent since preseason. You have a Deuce Vaughn, and again, you don't know if he's going to
give me more Hunter Lipke. I need more, and you know what, Jess? I'm going to take your word for it. We ain't shown our whole hand yet, damn it! But I love Hunter.
I promise you, these kind of special packages do exist, even for guys like Kevon, who has worked and gnawed to the bit to make sure that he gets more offensive reps. They exist. It's just you haven't had to show it off yet in the passing game specifically. This is the game you do it. You're not going to rely on the run in this game. You can even see a little bit more of TP getting involved in the receiving game here.
I would love that.
Look up page by page at this point because show your hand unless you need to do it. This is the game you need to do it a little bit more. So I don't necessarily think it's what's going on? Why isn't he getting more reps? You haven't had to yet. You haven't had to. That's kind of the beauty of having a new play caller for the season is you don't have to show your hand right away. You can hide some things until as far as the playoffs go.
That's fair.
What the heck is this? Because you don't want everything on film 9 weeks into the season where you're going to be read just like your playbook in the snap of a fingers by the end of the long season ahead. So I'm all for like McCarthy opening this up slowly. It's frustrating because you see these guys wanting the ball, but do it slowly because I guarantee you by the end of the season, when they're pulling things out that you're like, what was that? It'll be worth the wait.
Facts.
Well, Jess, I think you make a good point because like we talk all the time about how impacted the Cowboys are with having to deal with unscouted looks from other teams. So it's like, now that you mentioned, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense for the Cowboys to also have like a few unscouted looks for other teams in their back pocket. I dig that. I like that explanation.
Coaches mentioned that multiple times this season where he's like, they came out and showed us something initially that was not on film, and people do. I did it, so I didn't. I'm not saying I didn't believe it, but now I really do believe that when people know the Cowboys on they know how many people are going to be watching. So they literally do pull out things that we have never seen all season. They like, baby, my cousin in the stands. I'm about to do my thing. But you mentioned that Mike McCarthy has also mentioned the fact that the nature of these wins this season and just kind of how some of these games have transpired where you've gotten fantastic, and I'll get to that. You've gotten fantastic performances from your all three phases in these blowouts at the snap of a finger. Like you say, Jess, like it was, this team has a bit of a kill switch. I'm not sure if I want to see if they can continue to do it. But when they see an opening, like last week what happened, that's nuts, y'all. Like, but that's happened multiple times in games. So to your point, Jess, he was talking about the fact that these games, I mean, your starter sitting in the fourth quarter 3 times in a season is crazy. It's crazy. It's not normal. So I really do think, to your point, he is in a place to where he's like, we don't have to show everything right away.
Yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point, man.
And he's also said multiple times now here in the last couple of weeks, your younger guys statistically are going to be the ones taking more of the reps later in the season. So your younger guys, specifically Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Tolbert, you're going to see them more as the season progresses, especially just the length that they have post bye week. It's going to be a longer amount of time since they had the bye last year. The bye came a little early, Just give it some time, is all I'm saying. Just give it some time.
I wanted to comment on the y'all. I think Jazz, you mentioned CD and him being a number one and him getting more targets. Nothing that comes with being a number one is getting people to bracket you and also roll a safety over because they scared. And and baby, let me tell you something. If Byron or Blankenship not sliding their ass over there to help out Bradbury or Slade, they tripping. They're tripping, and I feel like it seems like Eminem. It seems like Mike McCarthy. Y'all, I'm tired.
Oh, like Eminem.
It is Eminem. I mean, it's not wrong.
I was listening to him.
I'm so excited.
Y'all, leave me alone. I was listening to him on 105.3 The Fan, and he said it sounded like he expects for them to double CD. So that brings us back to the point of the other receivers, a Brandon Cooks, a Michael Gallup, a Jalen Tolbert, possibly. Like, it's crazy that you say that, Ashley, because now I'm thinking, like, if this is the game to unleash a secret weapon, because Jalen Tolbert has been getting more snaps. He has started, like, and if you see him on tape, Big Dog is open. And then, and whoever is opposite of CD has to be able to win on their own. And so for me, I'm like, you got me curious. But anyway, I'm looking to see who's going to step up if they do decide to roll covers to CD, even though he said he always open. Because Philly's defense, they struggle. They struggle in man. They need some help from their defensive line. So if their defensive line is not getting home consistently, baby, they
something about the way you said that, I thought you were about to be like, they need prayer. You were like, they need some help from their defense.
I don't know who you pray to, but somebody better say something, do something. They're literally almost dead last in TD passes allowed. I don't care what nobody say. I think Sam Howell is going to be a pretty good quarterback, but baby, I'll be damned if I let him hang 300 on me twice. Twice. No, absolutely not.
Twice?
On the ground and in the air. You got to do the math. Now, just organically, last game he put up over 300. The game before that, he did it with his legs and in the passing game. The disrespect. That's a nugget. He a baby. He's still trying to figure out deep. I don't know what is going on with Bradbury and Slade. Like, confidence-wise, Bradbury looks. The communication's off sometimes. He just looks.
Look, real quick. I was about to say the over or under on how many times he gonna get cooked.
Baby,
every time.
It's given. I'm thinking 2.5, over 2.5 times this game that he's gonna get cooked by somebody on our wide receiver at all. In any capacity.
It depends on what they do. Depends on if they double or not. If Dak still goes to CD, but baby, it's so weird to see how well they played last year. And again, they do have a new DC. They're trying to figure some things out, but I just could not believe what I was seeing. And Darius Slay, I mean, he playing flat-footed. It's like, are y'all okay out there? Do y'all need?
What's my favorite matchup? Jazz, I see you about to jump in. You could, whatever you about to say, go ahead and jump in with that, and then tell me your favorite matchup between our wide receivers and their DBs.
So what I was actually going to say was responding to the comment about CeeDee Lamb saying he's always open. I think
Oh,
what we've
now,
seen from him in terms of figuring out how to get to the ball, even whenever he's being bracketed, even whenever they do slide that safety over, like Aisha mentioned, I can see why he would feel like he's always open because sometimes it looks like he's not, but I like he gets to the ball anyway, and I think he just has enough faith in himself to be like, yeah, I might not look open, but like I'm still open. We've seen him line up out wide in the slot in the backfield. We've seen him break tackles. So yeah, I'm not mad at him for saying that, and I think all those things like definitely do prove for anyone who may still doubt for whatever reason that he's a wide receiver one. Like he 100% is. So in this game, like yeah, Dak is definitely going to still go to CD because how could you not? I do think we'll see some involvement from some other people though, but yeah, like CD's still gonna get his catches. As far as matchups, yeah, same thing. I can't think of a particular one. I can't think of a particular one. I think just overall, what I'm like, expecting to see is actually no. Let me not answer that right now because I just have too many thoughts running through my head. Somebody
that's
else
fine.
go.
Yeah, no, I got you. And my matchup isn't necessarily something I'm expecting to be incredible and amazing. I'm not expecting Tony Pollard to have this 100-yard game, but I do want to see how they try to establish the run against this kind of defensive line, rather. Really, that Philadelphia can give you. So if you're able to establish any kind of run in this game, that's a good indication that it's there and it's going to get worked into a little bit more. What I would like to see though, and I don't really think this is the game for it, like I said, is eventually you get a more of a 1-2 punch, counter punch back from your running game overall. Again, this isn't the game you start that because I don't necessarily think you're running the ball a lot in this game. But I do want to see kind of where this run game stands against a really tough D line that is going to make it difficult for you. I want to see how far they can get in this game. And again, it's not really a matchup. It's just more something of a measuring stick to see where exactly your run game is. Because again, it's been kind of non-existent. Is the run game in the room with us? I don't think it has been really the last 9 weeks. So if you can, the giggle, if you can get something established with something like the Eagles here, it should be a good indication that your run game can be established for the rest of the season. It's just, yeah, that's what I want to see. I kind of want to see how much they're willing to push that run game and be like, oh, you think we can't do it? Okay. I mean, that would also say something about McCarthy as far as, people are calling him conservative with the play calling and all that. Do something a little unexpected. Push on the run a little bit more than people are expecting you to.
So really quick I'm coming to you, Ish. Just so everybody knows, because I know we're talking a lot about CeeDee Lamb here. Last year he went 10 for 11, had 120 yards. He averaged 12 yards, a ball, and he put up 2 touchdowns. So what a ball.
No, I'm just laughing at the fact he be cooking these people and they just be acting so brand new.
He smoked them like last year. I'm looking at him like, oh, okay. I mean, he got busy on them peoples, and I just don't see that slowing down this week. Especially because he's been in cook mode the last 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah,
and again, Bradbury and those guys can get got respectfully. So I expect that, not expect. I'm gonna stop using the word. Jazz told me to stop using the word expect. I gotta stop. I gotta get that out of my head. But I hope to see. Yeah, I hope to see that CD and Dak are locked in right now. They just been in a tour. They're locked in, right? Like on a whole nother level. They locked in. So I want to. That is. I very much believe. Here's the deal. Here's the thing about the Eagles. I just don't be that worried. And you can call me like, oh, I'm sleeping on them. It's a division game. It obviously they're not this terrifying, like Jazz said earlier. They're not this terrifying beast monster that we see these boys twice a year, man. And I know that my boys are gonna get theirs. They always do. I
Well,
love
here's
my
the thing
dad.
about CD too
Yeah,
is
so we'll see.
she's coming off of a career high game, 158 yards and 12 receptions. That's the most he's ever had
He's
in.
been cooking, Jess. He's been cooking.
And what you're seeing is the product of all of the off-season work that Dak and CD have continued to put in, day out. They were in the Dak yard. They were getting reps almost every single day in the off-season. Something CD specifically said at training camp that his focus was the nonverbal cues. And he said, I want to be able to look at my quarterback and we know exactly what we're calling without even blinking. And nobody else knows that they're giving each other that look. So what you're seeing is a product of all of those time, hours, practices, reps, missed reps, every single thing that they worked the kinks out during the off season. It's coming to light now, and it's just it should be exciting to see that this really is your starting point for that chemistry, and it's going to continue to build throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah,
To put it even,
go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, to put it even simpler, there was an interview during the offseason where we heard CD Lamb say, although he walked it back, the words that came out of his mouth were, last season we were never on the same page. And now they are. So that alone would make a big difference.
That's
But one
scary.
thing that I've been thinking about like all season is that there was this article that I wrote, and please don't make fun of me. It made sense, I promise. But I compared CD Lamb to a Pokemon and the way that he's been evolving since
Hey,
since
which
he joined the Dallas
Pokemon?
Cowboys.
Which Pokemon, Jazz? Which Pokemon?
Not a specific one. I was
Well, my
just
favorite
talking
is
about
Pikachu. I was
his
hoping you would
evolution
get a
in general,
Pikachu
because
vibe.
I had some line about like every time Dak picks up the ball and says, "CD Lamb, I choose you." Like he grows, right? And I usually don't make that face.
Oh
I
God,
can't
I
stand
love that.
I can't stand you.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm hoping it was Pikachu. Pikachu was
But the more
one,
that happens, the more we see CD grow as a receiver.
for
And we
sure.
saw him pull off some phenomenal things, some phenomenal games last season, even though by his own admission, they were never on the same page. And now we're starting to see them get on the same page. We're starting to see them have some of that, not literally telepathic, but it kind of feels that way where they can, look at the defense. They're both actually seeing the same thing. And so they both know what to do. And so I expect him to have even better numbers this game. And I feel like the only way that he wouldn't is if it's just because they're getting other people involved. It's because they're seeing that they actually, can use the run game. And they're like, oh, well, let's lean into that since it's working. Or maybe other people are getting themselves open and they decide to, target some other players. But as far as CD himself, I feel like he's going to have a phenomenal day. And just one comment about the Eagles defense. Not that I've seen that here, but just in other chats, I've seen people be like, a DC shouldn't make that big of a difference. But one thing that I think of is just like some of the players that I knew in college. And yes, it is a different level, but like the age difference isn't that much different. But I just remember talking to a group of players about one of the things that they were struggling with during the game. And it I won't go into everything they said, but it could be boiled down to the idea that they were trying to do things the right way instead of doing basically what felt right based on instinct. So
Mm.
like they were trying to execute in the way the coaches told them to. And so even though there were some things from the previous season that could apply, they weren't applying it because they're like, well, we want to be right. We want to execute well. We want to do what, this guy who's in charge of us now told us to do. So yeah, that is something that does affect players sometimes regardless of skills and abilities. So
What
just
you
throwing
about to
that out
say?
there.
What you about to say, Ish?
Oh, so I was back. I was just going back to the original question about the matchups, and I know you guys have, well, you ladies rather have been talking about CD and his growth. I wanted to kind of tack on to them because he's actually became my dude. So I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him, and it's just been a pleasure to see him grow as a player, but also as a man. He's growing as a person in
I love
general.
that.
And the maturity you see from him, it also is resonating on the field because last year, we remember there were times where he wasn't finishing his routes, even though he did say on Sounds of the Sideline he had so much faith last week in Brandon Cooks, he didn't finish his route. And I didn't like that, but that's fine because it was fine. But he wasn't always finishing his routes. He was throwing up his hands. He was things of that nature. And I really, truly believe that a couple of weeks ago where CeeDee Lamb was on the sideline and there was a whole bunch of hoopla about it, the way that he handled the media side of things, the way that he came out and talked with so much maturity and integrity and just maturation as a person, as a player, I feel like that was a pivotal moment for this team. And also too for just for this offense, for them to be on the same page, for him to come out and take responsibility, and to not, make it about him in that moment. I was just very impressed by that, and I was happy about it because tension between your number one and your quarterback,
As
baby, never
for
ends.
sure,
It never
that's
ends.
real.
And with this team and what they put together, I knew that if he and Dak could, get over that and figure out things in that way, they figure things in that way, I knew that it was going to be good for this team. So I was just so happy that they was able to do that. So I wanted to throw that out there. But to y'all's point, um, one thing I noticed about Philly, I think at this point, because of the things that Brandon Cooks has done, the last couple of weeks, you can consider this offense explosive. I mean, I think you had 20. It's starting. I mean, again, it's a copycat league. So for me, if I'm considering this team explosive, which that's what Philly, it looks like that's how Philly considered Miami. They disguised a lot and they played cover two. Baby, listen to me. If they gonna leave this middle of the field open, I'm looking for CeeDee Lamb, but I'm looking for Ferg because
Oh,
your point, Jazz, that you made about the fact that Dak and CD are like y'all talking about how in sync they are.
that's
You
facts.
starting to see that with Ferg, and it's really awesome because with the tight end position, and the more that you watch it, when you start watching it, there's so much that goes into playing tight end. But one of the dopest things about tight ends as they mature, they start to understand angles because people are always like, how can Ferg, like, how does he have so much yak ability? It's because he shifts his hips. It's because he has a good feel and he's very strong. And the Philly linebackers are undersized. And honestly, too, their safety, Blankenship, he will take back angles. He will get caught peeking in the backfield. He's
Oh,
aggressive.
he has cookability as well.
Yes, he's aggressive.
Blankenship
Cookability.
has cookability as well. By the
Yeah,
way,
yeah, he's aggressive and he makes some mistakes. He'll shift coverage. He'll do some of that hero ball stuff that you ladies were talking about. And I think Ferg can really do a lot to the middle of this defense, but also be physical in the run game or even in the blocking game or however they do it. However, if he's chipping, I don't care what he's doing. I think his body is gonna be needed in this game. When I talk about, because he's physical. One thing about Ferg, he don't get enough credit for is that he really do got that dog in him. When I seen him at training camp going back and forth with Micah, look at some of that training camp footage. He's standing Micah up. And that's not normal. No, not to Micah. I know you be on Twitter. But I'm just saying, like, I think Ferg and that connection is just as important as what you've been talking about with CD Lamb and how Dak and him are starting to get. Because some of those balls that he threw to Ferg weren't perfect last week. They were low. Some of them were high. But when your quarterback and your tight end on the same page, and even that seam route, that takes the tight end reading right, and it takes the QB reading right. And to know that those two guys are on the same page, adding a tight end to this offense, boy, I'm ready. I'm ready for someone to respect my tight end so they can get off
just
my wide receivers. I'm
just to
sick.
piggyback off what you're saying, Ish, that is something that obviously the offense, you just opened up such a different just dimension of things, man, when your tight end group is tapped in. I mean, and like you said, I've seen it. I mean, obviously you and Jess had to kind of just remind the people. It's me. I'm people. They had to remind the people. He definitely has been stepping up the last couple of weeks. And again, when your tight end group is involved, you know what I'm saying, your wide receivers are cooking. Not only has Dak been on the same page with CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson, but he's also getting in sync with Brandon Cooks. And that's very, 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 very scary. He has 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games. So, again, my guys with Sports After Dark, shout out to Sports After Dark. My guys talk about peaking at a good time and not peaking super early. And I think that is kind of what we're saying. I'm talking about like it's a slow peak. Like that thing gonna hit the lid
The
when you
slowest.
really need it to. But this peak, when everybody is starting to kind of like finally like get it together, and there are so many people like, oh, by the 4th or 5th week of the season you should already have it together. Yeah, tell the 49ers that after 3 games today. Tell the 49ers that after no, this is a 17 game season. You know what I'm saying? And so the slow peak is happening. like y'all mentioned, I'm just starting to see so many things kind of fall. And once, boy, if these tight ends keep rolling and these wide receivers keep rolling and my quarterback keep using them legs, and my God, that run game gets the moving like we really wanted to,
No,
it's
yeah.
gonna get nasty. It's
If
gonna
the
get
Also,
run
nasty.
want to
wakes
throw
up,
out there too, you're working with your starters that didn't have any snaps in the preseason, so that kind of
That
plays.
takes time.
So
Correct, yes, correct. Correct. That
100%.
takes
I
time.
think we want to see Dak sync up with all of his targets the way that the way that he has with CD, and I think that's what made me really excited when Ferg kind of mentioned in his interview that when he saw where the linebacker was, he knew that that ball was coming to him, because it's like it's one thing to just have the skills to be able to catch a ball, but I think when you know the ball is coming to you, you put in a certain level of effort that you don't put in whenever you don't know or you're not sure, and especially in terms of whether or not Ferg has that dog in him, like that is also necessary. Because it's like if we think about that touchdown pass, it's not like he was wide open. There were like people all around him.
Facts.
Like had he not gone where he went to get that ball, that could have been another incompletion. I can't remember enough to say if it would have been an interception, but like it wouldn't have been the score that it was. So just the fact that he's feeling connected to Dak in that way, I feel is significant. And I'd love to see that happen with Dak and all the targets, not on the same level. But whenever we talk about peaking, I think that's one of the things that we should like maybe consider. Like maybe we feel like there's a peak just because we see this thing that we've been hoping for with Dak and the tight ends and with Dak and CD. But like there are other people who can also step up. And I guess I say that to say like I don't know. I don't think they're gonna like peak and just hit it. I just feel like there's just so many things that they can get right and keep working towards. I just feel like we're just gonna keep seeing things get better and better for this team.
I
yeah,
yeah,
agree.
and real
coaches.
quick too, to that point, as far as the tight ends in general, this is still a young room. Like, and
That's
people
true.
forget that you don't have the veteran in Dalton Schultz anymore, and there was going to be growing pains in losing that veteran presence in that room. And if that was the first, 8 weeks of the season with the drops and all of that, don't think that those guys aren't working on that. Like, don't think that they're just sitting there complacent, happy that those balls were dropped in very key moments of the game. Like, and I think that's what kind of frustrates me a little bit on Twitter sometimes is people don't see these guys in the locker room and how pissed they are after they come off of a game like that. And furthermore, Dak Prescott is taking time out of his schedule to go sit in the tight end meetings to make sure that everything is connecting for everybody. Like, and again, we talk about this national narrative that surrounds Dak Prescott. The people that never step foot in that building don't understand the things that he does
Girl.
and takes time out of his day to make sure that that connection is established with his guys. So a guy like Jake Ferguson
Leader.
had a couple of key drops. Look, Dak's like, let's fix it. Let's figure it out. Let me help you. Like, and that I think that's why it drives me so crazy to see just the narratives that surround these guys sometimes, because they truly, truly are not real. They're not real narratives. Dak Prescott does nothing but try to better his teammates before himself sometimes, to where it's just almost insane that this guy can get so much hate. And then you have your tight end room.
And they
You have
literally
your-
say that.
They
it's
lie.
insane. It drives me freaking crazy. And Aisha knows this because we talk about it all the time. And the thing about the tight end room is, yes, they're young. Yes, there's going to be growing pains. Also, it doesn't make them any less of a threat. And so I can't wait. We're talking about peaking and gradually growing. I can't wait till this group is at the end of this season and everyone looks back and is like, oh, remember when we thought that they weren't going to be a big threat as a group? No one's going to admit that out loud, but like I see who you are online. Like,
Listen. Let me tell you something. Just said in the nice terms that she got receipts, y'all. Respectfully.
I'm
You hear
ready
me?
to go with my screenshots, girl. I'm a Virgo. That means I'm real petty up in here.
Oh no, oh no, a Virgo. Watch it, y'all. Watch it. They are. Let me tell you something about these Virgos, man. They calculated as hell. Watch out for the. They keep it all. They remember. Oh my God. They remember. Oh God. They remember everything.
Babe.
I'm stressed out. She just stressed me out. E. She just stressed me out.
But Jazz shares that sentiment. She hates the fake narratives around Dak Prescott because it's like, bruh, if you could hand build a quarterback, as far as, granted, he's not a perfect quarterback, but I'm just like, all the things that you ask for a quarterback,
Yep.
he possesses, especially integrity and leadership, like all this stuff. And people really will fix their mouths to be like, people in that locker room don't respect him. Who
No,
said
my
that?
last YouTube video, I went off on Stephen A. Smith about that because, like, when was the last time Stephen A. Smith was in anybody's locker room, much less the Dallas Cowboys? But he's one of the main people who tries to question whether or not Dak Prescott has leadership skills, whether he has heart, like, and literally tries to say the guys in that locker room don't believe in him. And I'm just like, where the hell are you getting that from? And so it's like, not only do we see these characteristics in him, but we literally hear the players say it. We hear them talk about, not even just in general terms. They talk in general terms and they say, oh, he's a great leader. I'll follow him. I'll believe in him. But they also talk specifically about the things that he does and the effort that he puts in to make the offense work and to keep the team cohesive and to develop the team culture. And so, yeah, the whole narrative, I'll be honest, I don't understand where it comes from. It's so easy to just be like, okay, they don't like Dak Prescott, they have a problem with the Cowboys, but I'm just like, even that just sounds too ridiculous to believe that that's it. I don't know what it is, but they need to cut it out. I'm glad more people are calling them out. I'll
Yeah,
say that.
for sure. Shout out to the new media, because the new media in every realm is putting folks in their place. So really quick, me being putting on my producer hat, we're running out of time a bit here. So I kind of want to just, first of all, definitely re-shout out everybody that has been tuning in with us on YouTube, tuning in on Twitter. Y'all are in the comments, giving me life in these comments. These comments are really, really funny. So we really appreciate you guys tuning into your Dallas Dolls. That's who we are. If y'all anybody else, these are the Dallas Dolls. We may rotate some folks in and out, but this right here, this is your Dallas Dolls. So now that that's out, because I was like paying bills. You got to pay bills a little. It's like a commercial break just now. I want to talk about one, and again, I'm on my producer ish now, so I gotta make it. We gotta yeah, Jess and Ish and Jazz, yeah. As on one player, obviously we only talking about our boys here. Tell me one player that you expect to have a breakout game in 30 seconds or less. Not a breakout game, but you expect to have a big game in 30 seconds or less. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a second fire. Jess.
Michael Gallup. Period.
Ooh.
Michael Gallup.
Ooh. You think Mike coming back?
I am sick of the narrative about Michael Gallup that simply is just not true. Look, here's the thing. The ball distribution has been all over the place when it comes to the Cowboys offense. You don't truly know what it looks like up until this point. And look, here's the thing. When you have other weapons that you can put in and out, everybody's ball distribution is going to be messed with a little bit. But again, Michael Gallup, do not sleep on the guy. He is absolutely still Michael Gallup. And it is one of those things that drives me nuts to see, because you want to talk about, again, a guy with a narrative behind him that just does not deserve it. He really is such a locker room guy. Those guys are vying around him. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, I asked both of them specifically about MG, and they're like, the best is yet to come from MG. Who am I to not believe CeeDee and Dak Prescott saying that? MG, I'm going MG. He's going to have a good game.
I love that, Jess, because while everybody is so focused on your Brandon Cooks, on your CeeDee Lamb, on your Ferguson, it would not surprise me if this is a game where MG do go off, because y'all sleeping. You know what I'm saying? So I could very well see that. Tell me, Ish, who you got? 30 seconds or less.
Dang it. So
yeah, I got you in the hot seat. Yeah.
Donovan Wilson he looks like he's starting to get his legs under him, and I don't know if they would switch it off. I don't know how they would do it, but he and or Wanye, I believe, could do some spying things or something. I just feel like there has to be something. And so I'm just looking at them, and I think Donovan Wilson getting his legs under him is going to be huge for this run game and setting the tone and bringing the energy. So I would go Donovan Wilson / Wanye. I know that's cheating, but just let me make it.
That's fine. Go ahead, Jazz.
Y'all, this cat is crying.
We can't hear it. It's fine. I'm trying to decide between two people.
Hold on
I'm
real
gonna
quick, guys.
say
Hold on real quick, guys. Y'all ain't see me muting myself a couple times. Like I had to cover my mouth and be like, Cody! He just wants my cat, man. These cats are insane, bro. Like it's crazy. My bad. Go ahead, Jazz. Go ahead.
I'm trying to decide between two people, and I'm gonna go with Kevontae Turpin. I think we've seen some flashes from him in different phases of the ball, and I just think if they find the right ways to use him, he can really do some special things that'll make him stand out during this game. Not necessarily that'll have the highest stats. Like, I still believe in what I said earlier. I think this is going to be a big game for CD, of course. But, like, outside of that, I think Turpin's going to have a good day.
Former Defensive Player of the Year.
Stephon.
Oh,
yeah. That's a great one. Gilmore.
Let me tell y'all something. I think he is taking this matchup against AJ Brown
seriously.
Personal.
He's taking it seriously.
I'm serious. Y'all, I think while everybody's talking about how he has lost a step, I think he's going to remind us who Stephon Gilmore is. I think it's going to be Gilly. I like Gilly. I like Gilly this game. I like this to be the first silent game from AJ Brown in the last 6 weeks. Respectfully, I love this spot for Stephon Gilmore this week.
And to your point, Stephon Gilmore, he struggles more with those speedy guys and those crowd. Like he struggles more with those guys, but he can. I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a different type of beast.
For sure.
He's a Wakandan mixed with,
Stop calling him that.
Why can't I call him
Wakandan? You can. It's fine. Go ahead.
Oh, well, if he's not that, then he's like an X-Men or something. He's special.
Yeah, he's cooking.
He's special, and so I mean, but he's not about to like route you up all game. That's the other side of things. So I do agree with you that I would rather DaRon Bland over there and Stephon.
Who?
Here she go.
Anything but Bland. Extra spicy this season. Mr. Pixie.
No, the only reason I said don't call him that is because I hate to hear such a good compliment go to somebody on the other side. That's all. But you're not exactly.
Oh God, hey Jazz, I thought it was just me. Like my stomach was getting a little nauseous over here, even having to be like, oh, he's been cooking this year.
Good.
Like, ugh.
He has that's all type of attitude. It's upsetting. We didn't talk about their injuries on their offensive line that I think are important, but let's just let it go. It's above us now.
I'm looking at what some people are saying in the comments real quick. People do agree that AJ is terrifying, so we'll see how that goes. And people are wanting to see both Turpin and DaRon Bland have a good game.
Listen, Jazz, we gotta be. Oh God,
anything but Bland.
She just go
anything but Bland.
Anything but Bland. Just as good.
Hold on, Jess. I got a question for you, real quick.
Yeah.
So, whenever you do the emoji for DaRon Bland, are you one of the people who uses the salt emoji or the chili pepper?
Is the chili
anything
pepper?
But Bland?
It's spicy.
Okay, good.
He's anything but Bland. He's spicy. It's not salty. It's spicy. Chili pepper emoji. I put a lot of thought into this, guys. I obsess over this. Like every Sunday, y'all know those tweets are already in the drafts, just ready to hit send and
Some people were using salt, and I was like, "That's not enough. That's not enough."
No. It's anything but Bland with the chili pepper. And if you see otherwise, you send them my way and let me know, and we'll have a talk.
Yeah, shut up.
Bro, can I? That's that Virgo. That's that Virgo winner.
No,
that is.
Jazz talk about the salt not enough. That ain't it.
Yeah.
It's not. When you break an NFL record, not even halfway through your season for the most pick sixes in a season, nah, you need more than the salt emoji.
You talk about it.
Emoji.
Talk about
it. Y'all. I'm not in the mood for Dallas Goedert either. Him and Michael got some. I ain't saying they beefing. I'm just saying the couple times they played them, him and Michael, they be talking some schmackish to each other. They be talking some schmackish.
I just want to say, just so y'all have an idea of how lit us ladies are and how in depth we are when we talk about our squad. I believe that that is the first time we have even mentioned number 11 on this show. We have not talked about Micah Parsons. It's deeper than just a star. Whatever the hell Micah do, but it's deeper than just a star player. Y'all heard that we didn't talk about every because we know what Micah. We may have talked about him once, right? Maybe, but we ain't even talk. Come on, y'all not getting this nowhere else, man. Like, get out of here, not getting it nowhere else. Okay. Special teams. I gotta tap into special teams. We gotta tap into special teams. I want to talk about the impact of special teams. Okay. We had a couple of just mishaps. We won last week. You know, y'all reminded me of, Turpin in the end zone, holding penalty on Nashawn Wright, bring it back. That's the kind of stuff that I hope that we can tighten up on. You want to be able to put up points against this Philly team as much as possible, not just because of what they can do, but it's a division game. It's going to be sticky. It's going to be muddy. It's going to be that's just how it is in the NFC East, right? Talk about the impact of the special teams. Anybody can give this a go. Anybody can jump in there, but let's talk about the special teams impact for this game this week.
I love special teams. I have become such a special teams lover over here, and I'm not trying to be, but it's so much fun to learn the ins and outs of special teams and just how much it does impact any kind of game. But when it comes to KaVontae Turpin, well, one, they're not going to kick the ball to him. They're kind of dumb if they do. Honestly, if you're scheming to kick the ball to KaVontae Turpin, you're not scheming correctly to win that game. I'm sorry. Period. You're just don't get the ball to him. You shouldn't. And here's the thing. What's really cool about Turp is being on just a special teams guy last season. That was his primary focus. He was going off of pretty much 3 years straight of football, special teams. He was tired. What you're seeing now is a very well-rested KaVontae Turpin that if he gets that ball in his hands, he's downfield. He's down the field. You're not going to catch him. He's healthy. He feels good. He's ready to go. And he has this different kind of focus. I talked to him this week about it, and I talked about it on Girls Talk, Boys Talk. He has this different kind of focus to him because he said it's very different when you're locked in on only special teams, but you're also locked in on the offense. He said getting more of that playing time kind of has helped him relax a little bit and not feel like he has to chase these big plays when he's returning the ball. So, look, you're seeing a very, very amazing second-year jump from a guy like KaVontae Turpin. But overall, Bryan Anger, can we please give the man some love? Oh, my goodness. Man does not get enough love, and he should, because you want to talk about field position, how important it's going to be from a guy like Bryan Anger. You keep it all the way back. You keep it all the way back. In Cowboys Nation, you guys are so lucky to have a guy like Bryan Anger where you don't even have to worry about how far back that ball is going to go. You just expect it to go far back in the field because it's Bryan Anger. So Trent Seg, another guy, and then, of course, Brandon Aubrey, Butter Aubrey.
I was about to say, call that man Money B.
Here's the thing. Appreciate everything he's done. I want to see as least amount of him as possible during this game. Yeah, I don't want to see Brandon Aubrey at work. Unless it's for an extra point, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Keep him away. Keep your Butter Aubrey safe and protected. It's a long season. He's already put in a lot of work. Let the offense or defense, or KaVontae Turpin, if he's taken all the way back, take one to the house. But don't rely on Brandon Aubrey to get you the points in this game. It's not going to win it.
I love that. Call that man Money B. We calling that man Money B. That's his name. Go ahead, Jay.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody speak so passionately about special teams. That was awesome.
I love special teams. I love special teams, guys.
I'm just going to say I agree with everything that you just said, so as not to repeat it. The only thing I'm going to add is what's interesting about special teams is that you don't really get to see a lot of them in terms of what they've been working on, because it's like they don't have multiple plays in a drive to show what they can do. It's just like you get that one kick, that one punt, that one kickoff, whatever. But I think we don't talk enough about how Fossil prepares for these games. He really does look into what the other side is doing. And I know a lot of people made a big deal about the trick play earlier this season, because that was one of the things that stands out. But I really just appreciate the work that he puts in. It's not just okay, this is our formation to kick a field goal. He really puts thought into who our opponents are. and what they need to do against those opponents. And I mean, Sam Williams at gunner, like, where did
Oh,
that come
That's
from?
why I
I
said
feel like
don't even get me started on that. Oh my
mm,
goodness. I
that
was
was impressive, and I'm not sure
on
everybody would have even trusted him to do that,
well,
but like
and
that's one of the things that I attribute to who Fossil is. And just like I feel like we see awesome things from our special teams, and then it just kind of like goes away from our mind because it's that one play intermittently throughout the game. But like we really are, as Cowboys fans, blessed when it comes to our special teams unit and their coach.
and something about Sam Smith playing Sam Smith. Oh my gosh, Sam Williams. I'm so tired. About playing gunner. I don't know what the heck I'm thinking. Is he's going to get double teamed, so that takes another person off of somebody else, like a Cavante Turpin, whoever. You're distracting another body here by having somebody so big at that gunner position. So it helps in multiple ways here that you're not even really seeing unless you're really paying attention to him on special teams. But I talked to Sam in the locker room, and he's so excited to be getting these reps. He's so excited, and he's so happy because really this started as a joke between him and Bones. It was one of those things. He's like, hey, let me play gunner. And Bones is like, yeah, sure. And then CJ Goodwin went down. Bones is kind of trying to see who he can throw in there. And Sam's like, no, coach, put me in.
No,
And he
for
was
real.
like, all right, go try. And Sam said he went in there, and Bones was like, oh, okay. And so no, Sam, I was like, what's your message to like anybody that has to defend you? He said, they better double team me. And I said, oh,
Mm.
I love that.
with it. So you're seeing this new light kind of ignite in Sam, which is just really, really exciting for him.
that's fantastic. I do think also too, to y'all's point about special teams and with Sam, is that it does require discipline to play on special teams. It requires like a lot of fortitude, like mental fortitude. So I also I hope that trickles down to seeing him do some things on the defensive side, because he is getting more snaps. So I'm excited to see how he goes from there too. But when we were talking about peaking too early, and we were talking about this offense trying to find some cohesiveness and stuff too. I think the way that we're talking, this special teams is starting to find some cohesiveness, because that's something we don't think about, like, is that we did lose Luke Gifford. We did lose a lot of key guys that played on special teams last year. And I do think that Bones has been moving guys around, trying to figure out some things. And now he has, like, I think his full arsenal of guys that he can do different things with and use differently, or however they decide to do it, because special teams, and especially returns, coverage, all that stuff, it does take, knowing the guy next to you. So I'm glad that we gave some credit to special teams, but I also think we're talking about the cohesiveness of the team. It looks like special teams is starting to find its stride too, with using different packages and being able to do those things in those increment moments. But I talked to a defensive player this week, and they described the Philly offense to me as disciplined.
Mm.
And when you say that, it's because they don't get a lot of holding calls. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't get a lot of penalties. But the way that they matriculate down the field very carefully, they're draining the clock. They're gonna take their big shots. It sounds kind of familiar if you kind of think about it, but it's methodical. It takes its time, whatever. So when you mention special teams, I think starting field position is going to be huge, because when a team is playing like they are playing, they're counting on. Well, most of the time you don't want to do that. Like, you want to take advantage of your big spots, but when they just move the ball downfield, matriculate, whatever, you need to make them make mistakes. You got to get them in third and long situations. And I think the longer the field is, the more they have to go, the better opportunities you have for them to slip up, get a holding call, or to put them in third and long situations like we talked about. They're not getting much from their returners anyway. So I do think that Brian Anger, hopefully he's not punting a whole bunch, baby. Listen. But I will say, like, special teams coverage, and Brian Anger, if he's needed, are going to be important for starting field position for this team. And Cavante Turpin on the other side of things. So, yeah, that's what I got to say about special teams.
I can't wait till we're getting there. It's coming. Oh, hey, little puppy.
Oh, Lord.
What is
Toby
this?
just has to make everything about him.
What's his name?
Toby.
Hi, Toby.
He
Oh,
makes everything about him. So,
I
like,
love that. I love that.
it's Toby's world. We just live in it.
I was gonna say, and we're getting there when just all three phases of the ball are just in such sync. Like, I used to pray for times like this. I'm like this.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm putting that towards my squad. Um, we're at the end of the show, ladies. I need final score predictions. I'm making it tough. I'm gonna start.
okay.
I see Dak Prescott for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think we're gonna get a rushing touchdown. Rushing touchdown or two. Yeah, I think we're gonna get a rushing touchdown. And actually, I think we are gonna see Brandon Aubrey twice. I know. Y'all don't want to, but listen. I'm so happy we have a kicker. We've been praying for a kicker for like the last 2 or 3 years. I'm happy we have a kicker. I'm seeing something along the line of 27-20, and I know that that's low scoring for folks. I see folks in the chat kind of got. I'm saying 27-20 Cowboys because I am big on it's still a divisional game. I'm big on it. I'm still big on that. Both teams are going to play each other tough. Listen, it's not they did not win either game against the Eagles, but it wasn't a shock to me that the Commanders played as well that they played against the Eagles. It's a division game. Like this is what our division does, except the Giants. Outside of the Giants, no, yeah, I know, I feel you, but it's a division game. I'm going 27-20 Cowboys.
I'm going to go 27-30, Cowboys on top. And as much as I don't want to see Brandon Aubrey, I think you just kind of should expect it at some point, especially with this game. This is going to be a game that both kickers need to be very warmed up and very ready to go. So I'm going to say 27-30 Cowboys.
They still got Jake Elliott on that side for the kicker, right? Jake Elliott.
He's good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's been good from the jump. He's been so good from his first damn kick. Jazz, Ish.
Go ahead, Jazzy.
I hate score predictions.
So I was hoping that somebody said, I hate
she know I do too. That's why I push it.
I thought it was both of y'all. Didn't work. Y'all wrote that, Ash. I'm happy I did it.
So I'm going to say this. I'm going to preface it with a disclaimer that my score predictions are usually just some wild shit that I hope for. Okay. I'd like to see our defense consider holding teams to less than, or continue, I should say, holding teams to less than what they normally score. So I'm going to say 42-18. Yeah. Yes. I love y'all's faces. This is why I make predictions. Like it's not a real prediction, y'all. I don't do predictions.
If they no, it's not nothing. I'm not gonna laugh at it because, quite honestly, if the Cowboys' offensive line can hold, baby, I mean, and again, they could just change up things and then magically be a good secondary. But Sam Howell putting up 31 is crazy. So I'm going 31-24 Cowboys. I do think Philly hasn't scored. I think holding them to 24 is fair. And I still think that is like a good showing from your defense because their offense their offense does have scores or whatever. So I'm going 31-24. And I hope my blood pressure is not too high.
I think we're going to get a defensive touchdown this game, too.
I was going to say, it's so funny, Jazz, when you said your score prediction, it had to replay in my mind. I'm like, all right, she said it's just some wild shit she would want to happen. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, so it's cool. But I was still like, whoa.
You know, I think we're going to get a defensive touchdown. Shout out to
Jazz calling the 40 burger, man. If they, hey.
Yeah, it tastes even better when it's against the Eagles.
Ooh.
Yeah, we haven't talked about, Jalen Hurts' issues. So I think we'll get that defensive touchdown. I think we'll get a rushing touchdown from Dak. I think we'll get a couple of touchdowns through the air. So,
no, yeah, you're right. I think to Jazz's point, I do think that we may see a fumble or two or something. I mean, like
he does lead the league in turnovers as a quarterback, by the way.
Time.
Yeah. And he is, and again, Mike McCarthy has said that that's where most of the turnovers are coming from in the NFL now. It's not ints and stuff. It is fumbles by the quarterback. So I'm really looking at like how well this pass. We didn't give him a whole bunch of love because we just know that they gonna get after it. The pass rush, but DeMarcus Lawrence, those guys, like that's a battle too. Lane Johnson and D-Law.
Ooh, you right.
That's
take the glove. The gloves are on, man. The gloves are on. And Jazz, did you mention the defensive touchdown?
Yeah, I do think we're gonna get a defensive touchdown.
Who? Is it Just Boy? He going for another
Yeah,
one?
I mean that's who we've been seeing. I think he's gonna keep that streak going.
Yo, that would be crazy.
Why? Because he's
Huh?
what?
Because he's anything but bland.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's just like the more that I watch him and the more that I see like the kind of things that he's doing that lead to the interceptions that he's getting, I just feel like if we're in a situation where we're facing someone who is already prone to do that this season for whatever reason, whether it's he's learning a new style of quarterbacking, new offense, whatever, it's happening. I feel like it's gonna happen again.
I just want to correct Jew height 44, Jew heights
Who is
44 in the Jew, whatever. Sorry. Hey, man, lady. He's had 0.5 sacks against the Eagles, okay? He's had a half a sack. Don't think he ain't had a sack. It's 0.5
Yeah,
now.
but
Damn it.
that's a big deal though. That's a big deal though. If y'all don't know, like Micah is really in a place of trying to, show what he can do. And again,
For sure.
teams and stuff like that. But he has been key in some of these pivotal moments. His pressures and what he's doing and the attention he's drawn is far more valuable. If you're a Philly fan, go look at if anybody is triple teaming Hassan Reddick. So I just feel like Micah also too. He's definitely. I'm looking for him this game because Philly's one of the only teams that has been able to keep him at bay, which is
I
difficult to
mean,
do.
one, Micah said at the beginning of the season that he's off the sack wave, he's on the impact wave. And I feel like he's definitely been doing that this season. Both him and D-Law, when it comes to stats and when it comes to things that like really get fans' attention, right? They're both really unsung heroes. Like if you take away the impact that they have on the defense, we'd be looking at a completely different Cowboys defense. So regardless of the numbers, how many sacks, whatever, like they're doing their thing, both of them. Also, there's the fact that some of the things that tripped up Micah in the past that prevented him from getting sacks, one, I don't think they're going to perform as well at, especially when it comes to the RPO, because of Jalen Hurts' limitations. I don't care what anybody says. He's injured. He's dealing
Yes,
with
for
something.
sure. For
So
sure.
between that and his issues with turning the ball over, I don't see that being as big of an issue. And then also, Micah himself has grown as a player. He watches film. He studies the game. So he's smarter. He's been studying different moves when it comes to the pass rush. We've seen him line up in different places. So yeah, I think his impact is going to be different in this game than what we've seen with him in the past against the Eagles. So I'm
Yes.
not worried. He's going to do
Yes.
his thing.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. Ladies, we've done our first roundtable with the Dallas
I wish I
Dogs.
had the applause queued up.
We really, really hope that you guys enjoyed this show. I do want to get just quick little final thoughts, 10 seconds or less. Y'all know I love it, seconds or less. Y'all gonna learn it about me at seconds or less. Feel in control. 10 seconds or less, your final thoughts on this game. Each.
Oh, it's real simple. Line of scrimmage, win the game on both sides.
Jazz.
Win this game so you don't have to worry about it later on when it comes to playoff seeding.
Then
Jazz.
the house on a bye, miserable.
I think Dak Prescott is going to prove just how good he is at manipulating defenses.
All right. We did it. I'm excited. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. You guys see the at names at the bottom of the screen. Follow each of these incredible ladies. They know their Cowboys ball. It ain't no ball in general, bro. Like it's not just, boxed in with the Cowboys. These ladies know ball. We appreciate y'all for tapping in. This is not going to be the last time that y'all see the Dallas Dogs. We're going to run this back very, very soon. My 10 seconds or less for this before we go ahead and wrap. Yeah! Here we go! That's what I got for y'all. We appreciate y'all for tapping in. We are out.
All right. I don't have an outro, so I'm going to just play the intro again and then end it. Good night, y'all.
Good night, guys.